Hello everyone. As well, you may or may not know, one of the things that really fascinates me is human interaction. And I was visiting with Rob, Cardinal Virtues, you may know him as, or Million Dialogue. He's no longer on YouTube. The Skeptical Heretic, Abby Normal One, and You Had Me at Hayek, who are linked below. And we were talking about why we get the amount of hate mail we do. And my particular question was, why get so much less hate mail or weird, sleazy mail compared to other people? And we bullshitted around with it, but it really wasn't a topic of interest to anyone but me, only because it was, not so much that I want more or I'd like it if they got less, but what was the cause of the difference? That outliers are always interesting to me. To most human beings, I suspect. But one of the things Skept said triggered something in me, is that I choose my words carefully. And that got me thinking about human communication. And me thinking is a bad thing in general. I highly recommend it not happen, but it did anyway this time. And so you're about to find out what happens when I've been thinking. And that's thinking back to the whole bionic dance and atheist means X and whatever. To make a long story short, the idea that a word itself has any meaning whatsoever is laughable. When you say a word at someone, regardless of whatever emotional feeling you have behind what you say, to the extent they can perceive you, they can see what your emotional state looks like to them. But mostly what's going on is they are reacting to what they associate with that word, which may or may not have anything to do with what you do, beyond a superficial look at the dictionary. An analogy, and analogies are never a good way to explain things, except for there aren't many that aren't worse. Imagine somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh yeah, I shined a light at the plane, but I don't know if they saw it. It was red." And, red, I don't know if they saw it as well. And, well, what color? How bright was the light? What color was it and how bright was it? So they shine it at you. Okay, the light is coming at you at a specific wavelength. It is, by definition, a particular color. It is shining at a particular part of you or near you, so you will perceive how bright it is based on where it's pointing and how far away the person is from you. But you will not see the light the same way that the people up in the plane did, or that the person who is holding the flashlight is. So apart from that one thing, that the bulb is emitting a certain amount of light that fades off at an inverse square to the inverse square to the distance, and the frequency of the light, which, assuming the two of you aren't moving at stupid speeds relative to each other, is the same. That's really all you have in common in that exchange, if you will, that one-way presentation of information. And a word is like that. When I say the word, well, let's think about the Social Security and Medicare discussion that's going on in the United States right now. People talk about entitlement programs. In the media, entitlement programs are often used as if they're meant stuff people feel entitled to because whatever, that they don't necessarily deserve. When Social Security and Medicare were created, And as they are now, they are programs that people pay into, and therefore, since you have paid for it, you are entitled to a return. But neither of these definitions really has anything to do with what these programs actually do, what they are, which are forms of social insurance. And the reason why the focus is on the deservingness, or lack thereof, of the recipients is because the discussion is about whether or not people should get them. So the subject of the discussion, these things, these programs called entitlements, is completely lost in the discussion about whether or not they should happen, which is really, if you think about it, kind of a fucked up thing. I really don't know how to express this well, and I really don't know if this will make any sense to anyone, but the idea that you can, by vibrating some air, impart some kind of meaning and information to someone else is an amazing thing. But it relies upon you learning something about the other person and how they see the world, and therefore how they will interpret the words the possible words you have to choose from in order to get the meaning you want to express across. Talk is cheap. Communication is very, very difficult. And it takes a lot of exacting work and patience to do it, which is why I don't like talking to people most of the time. Or with people most of the time, because that's actually what I try and do. I try not to talk at them, and if I catch myself doing it, I usually shut up and feel very ashamed, because it's fucked up. The only time is when I can talk at a camera, and then people can hate on me all they want in the comment sections, and I'm okay with that. But the basic idea is, if you are simply acting on a desire to talk, or if you are acting on a desire to make another person use the word you want them to use, as if that means what is going on in their brain is necessarily what you want to be going on. First of all, you haven't bothered to understand what the other person in the conversation is thinking or feeling. And you might as well just go off and masturbate, because you're just pleasuring yourself, and that's it. And I would apologize for that image, that metaphor, but that really is what you're doing. You are talking at someone else for your own pleasure. And if all you're willing to do is talk with people who have the same frame of reference, or enough of similar frame of reference about that subject, that you all have the exact same understanding of the same words, then it's a circle jerk, because no new information is being provided. Really, when you attempt to have a discussion with someone who is willing to try and understand your frame of reference, if you try and understand theirs, and you may or may not come to an agreement, but at least you'll get some idea, you'll each get some idea of what's going on with the other. That's when productive dialogue happens. Otherwise, you're not helping. Shut up. And that having been said, thank you for your time and attention.